I would like to talk a little bit about navigating the metric system when we are talking about cubed values instead of one-dimensional values. Let's have a little refresher. Let's use a millimeter, okay? 1 millimeter, we're talking about a one-dimensional 1D. That's a line, correct? 1 millimeter squared, now all of a sudden we're talking about 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter. That gives us a square. It should be a square. It doesn't look like it in this drawing, but don't worry about the drawing. That is now 2 dimensions. And we refer to that, whereas this first one was simply a length measurement, now the 2-dimensional figure that we're dealing with is now a measurement of area, which is length times width, or length times height, however you want to look at it. Let's go one more dimension. Let's go 1 millimeter cubed. Now what we have is we have 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter. So now all of a sudden we've gone from a 2-dimensional square to a 3-dimensional cube. Some people call it a box. Think of a cardboard box that you can place things in. This is a 3-dimensional figure, and now, whereas 1 dimension is length, 2 dimensions is area, when we talk about measurements in 3 dimensions, we're now talking about volume. How much will it hold? Okay? We're talking about volume, but when we deal with cubed figures, we're still talking about a length measurement, but as you start squaring and cubing it, and you create a 3-dimensional object, now you will see that referred to as volume. So let's look a little bit, let's start at the meter end, okay? Let's start at the big end of the scale. Let's picture a box by 1 meter, by 1 meter, by 1 meter. That would be, what's a little over 3 feet wide, by a little over 3 feet deep, by a little over 3 feet tall, right? Picture if you work at a restaurant and a big case of napkins or drinking cups come in. Pretty good sized box, okay? When we take 1 meter this way, by 1 meter this way, by 1 meter this way, and multiply them together, that's considered 1 meter cubed, or 1 cubic meter. 2 different ways to say the exact same thing, okay? When you move downward, I probably should have done this going the other way, but when you move down to the next step down in the metric system, which is decimeter, okay? Decimeter, we know that there are 10 decimeters in 1 meter, okay? So if we have a 1 decimeter cubed box, we know that it is a 3-dimensional object. It is 1 decimeter by 1 decimeter by 1 decimeter. Okay, so naturally, and please keep in mind that these drawings are meant to illustrate and they're not to scale. Really, 1/10 of this would be something more like that. So by all rights, my box should be this big, but I need to be able to show the relationship as we go down the scale. So picture 1 decimeter. This is the exploded view of it, okay? So 1 decimeter times 1 decimeter times 1 decimeter is 1 decimeter cubed. Still talking about a 3-dimensional object, still talking about a volume. However, Whereas 1 meter is equal to 10 decimeters. When you talk about 3 different sides, 1 meter cubed is equal to 1,000 decimeters cubed. Why is that? Okay, because if 1 meter equals 10 decimeters in length, one dimension, okay, then 1 meter times 1 meter times 1 meter is 1 cubic meter, right? But you would have to do your figuring this way. 10 decimeter times 10 decimeter times 10 decimeter is equal to 1,000 decimeters cubed. Okay, so you've got to realize that when you're jumping from prefix to prefix in the metric system, and you're talking about cubed values, volume, okay? You're not making a jump of 10, and a factor of 10, and a factor of 10 down the line. The King Henry died drinking chocolate milk. You're not moving 10 each time, you're moving 1,000. You're moving 10 times 10 times 10, because you're talking about 1, 2, 3 dimensions of a 3-dimensional figure, okay? My point is you're probably going to see some problems on your test, maybe not on your test, but certainly in your homework, that are going to ask you to convert, for instance, one that I saw wanted you to convert 1 meter cubed is equal to how many centimeters cubed, okay? Well, let's look at that problem. We know that if 1,000 decimeters cubed is equal to 1 meter cubed, we figured that out because we know that 10 times 10 times 10 decimeters is 1,000 decimeters cubed. Then that means that if you had a box the size of a decimeter, let's say a box like, say something that an aspirin box, a Tylenol box, or a box that something from the store would come in, a pack of ramen noodles, whatever, something about that size. Then that means that 1,000 of that cubic unit, that is exactly 1 decimeter by 1 decimeter by 1 decimeter, 1,000 of those would fit in the 1 cubic meter box. Doesn't seem like it, but when you start adding it up, 10 by 10 by 10 this way, by 10 this way, believe it or not, actually 1,000 of these will fit in that box. So that only takes us from meters cubed to decimeters cubed. Now we've got to go from decimeters to centimeters. And guess what the relationship is again? 1 centimeter is equal, 10 centimeters is equal to 1 decimeter in a one-dimensional line. But when you take into consideration the cubic unit, 3 sides, then once again you're dealing with 10 centimeters times 10 centimeters times 10 centimeters equals 1,000 centimeters cubed. So now we can look at the relationship. Let's picture, let's say 1 centimeter cubed is a sugar cube, okay? And let's say we've got a 1 decimeter cubed box. Believe it or not, it doesn't seem like it, but 1,000 of those sugar cubes, if stacked in there nice and neat, will fit inside that 1 decimeter cubed box. Okay? There's the relationship. So if 1,000 of these will fit in this, and 1,000 of this box will fit in this big box, then what does that mean? We have 1,000 times 1,000. This is where the numbers kind of get large. So 1 meter cubed, or 1 cubic meter, is equal to 1 million centimeters cubed. So if you have a box this big, by this high, believe it or not, if your sugar cube or whatever cube you had was exactly 1 centimeter cubed, you would be able to fit 1 million of these into this. I know it doesn't seem like it when you look at it on paper, but it seems like that couldn't quite be possible for that many, because 1 million is a pretty darn huge number. So what we need to realize is we need to have conversion factors. If 1 meter is equal to 10 decimeters or 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters, then we've got to remember that when we're dealing with cubic units, we're not going in factors of 10, we're going in factors of 1,000. So 1 meter cubed is equal to 1 million centimeters cubed. I hope this helps to understand that when you're dealing with three-dimensional volume units, that you have to come up with new conversion factors based on a three-dimensional object. Same thing